Morning, all of you. Good morning. Welcome to the Leadership Habits program, a program meant to transform yourself by cultivating the right habits for success. We're focusing particularly on the habits for success at work. And I'm Ram Nidumolu at the Indian School of Business. And let me welcome Anand. Anand Kripalu needs no mentioning. No, I think for many of you, you've heard his name. Some of you have worked for him. But let me just briefly introduce Anand. Welcome, Anand. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us this morning. Early morning,
Thank you.
almost at the crack of dawn, right?
Crack of dawn. Yes.
Crack of dawn. Thank you. And just a very brief intro to Anand. Anand graduated from his I'm Calcutta PGP program in 1983, was at Hindustan Unilever, and then headed the East Africa division region of Unilever, and then became the MD of Cadbury's, after the MD of Kraft, and then Mondelez, and finally, and then, well, penultimately, the MD of Diageo India until a couple of years ago, and is now the chairman and MD of EPL. So really a very distinguished career, and has has been known for the work he did in different industries, making, for example, alcoholic beverages more responsible, bringing greater responsibility in the alcohol beverages industry, and now sustainable packaging in the packaging industry. Anand, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Good,
Thank you for inviting me.
good
Thank
to
you.
see
Looking
you.
forward.
This program is all about leadership habits, just the daily habits, the regular habits, the routines that we use for managing our lives at work, leading others, managing oneself, just the kinds of habits we develop in terms of time management, tracking commitments, in terms of performance management, and so on. And so this is an ongoing program, 6:45 to 7:30 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it just goes on throughout the year. The goal mainly is self-leadership. How do we cultivate these habits? Let me ask you, in your long and very distinguished career of 43 years now, 42 years, what are some habits that you've cultivated that have really helped you in terms of managing your career?
I think one of the things is whatever job I have been given or taken on,
Yeah.
I have always tried to do the best that I can do in that job. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I've always believed that excelling in your current job is your best chance of getting the next job versus always looking for the next job and planning for the next job and aspiring
Okay.
for the next job. So,
Yeah.
I must say it's probably 20 years now that I
Yeah.
have not aspired for the next job. It has
Okay.
just happened.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
I think it's happened because I have, with as much sincerity as possible, done or played the best hand with the cards that have been dealt to me
Definitely.
at a particular point in time.
Okay. So in a way, it's a mental habit, an attitude that you take. Let me do the best that I can of what I have in front of me, right? How did you cultivate this? I mean, is this something that just happened or something you realized early in your career? This is the best way to do it? How did this come about? And if you think of habits as just practices, routines that we develop as we go along, how did this come to you?
I've realized over time that I'm a kind of glass half full person and not a glass half empty person.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I think there was a time, and when you pass out of IIM and stuff, there is this batch syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think it happened to me first when I was in IIT, where the realization came very early. Many of us passed out of school and, invariably were among the top few people in your school.
Yeah.
And then you come to IIT and you realize, my God, there are so many people much smarter than you are.
Right. Yeah.
And I think a similar thing happened after IIM when I started corporate life. I realized that I certainly wasn't the smartest guy around. And I've always believed that, being honest with yourself and being self aware is actually important.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, in the beginning, in the first few years, when somebody went ahead of me, it kind of killed me.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
my God, I can't accept that. But then over time, I became comfortable with the fact that I wasn't necessarily the smartest,
Yeah.
but I think I applied myself better than most others with what I had.
Okay. Okay. And
Okay.
this applies at work also. At work, applying your.
At work, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And, so therefore, I think I often show up probably as the best version of myself,
Okay.
right?
What does that mean?
Uh,
Meaning showing up on time, being positive? What does it mean to show up as the best version of yourself?
so, I'm a person, by the way, and yesterday only somebody was asking me how I do it, and I said, I don't know, I just do it. I am a person who really works hard and plays hard.
Okay.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
I give everything I have when I'm at work, being on time and bringing huge energy to the workplace, right? And doing everything that I need to do and being on top of stuff as much as I can be. And then I think the power of relationships outside of work,
Yeah.
um, strength of family, and by the way, strength of very close friends and a very strong social circle as well.
Mm.
That
Yes.
gives me energy as well. Then when I go back to the workplace, and that I carry that energy, and it's a kind of
Okay.
virtuous
Okay. Yeah.
cycle of energy that feeds off each other, right?
Yeah.
So I absolutely, whatever I do, I probably, whether I work or whether I party, it's 100%.
Do it with full enthusiasm, as
So
well as we well know.
it's done
Yes.
with full energy, and I think people at the workplace see that a lot
Yeah.
of energy and a lot of passion with what I'm doing, whether
Yeah.
it's work or it's play.
Okay. Okay. Basically, a lot of energy, enthusiasm, and that positivity, right?
I
How
think positivity
oh,
comes from being glass half full and
half
not
full.
always
Yeah.
complaining about what you don't have,
Yeah. Yeah.
but looking at what you have and what you can do
Right. Okay.
rather than only what concerns you, you
Yeah.
know?
Being optimistic. But as you do this, though, you end up with a lot of challenges, commitments, demands. How do you manage your time then? Because that becomes a big issue, right? Working hard, playing hard. How do you manage your time?
So there is never enough time. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
tell you some of the things that I have learned along the way. And, many of these things I'm saying with hindsight and probably not with foresight.
Yeah.
Okay. It was not planful. It just kind of happened and I realized that I'm doing it. So I think um, I empower a lot.
Yeah.
Right? I'm capable of rolling up my sleeves and getting into details. Uh, but quite often I tell people, why are you asking me about this? Go and do it.
Do it yourself.
So
Yeah.
and I realized that, the hardest thing is to tell somebody who comes to you saying, listen, I'm not doing this for you. I'm not telling you, you go and do it and I'll back you.
Mm.
That is what makes people nervous first, but then also makes them learn and makes them feel accountable. Okay. So I think I end up empowering a fair amount. I'm actually not ruthless with my time.
Okay. Okay.
Most people will tell you that even
Yeah.
people who worked for me 10 years ago, 20 years
Yeah.
ago, will keep coming and saying, we want time with you, we want to chat with you, we want a conversation with
Yeah.
you, we want some guidance from you. I don't think anyone ever gets a no from me.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm not ruthless with my time.
And you
I
don't, if it's a half an hour appointment, it's okay if it slips a little bit. Is that fine? Or do you stick to that appointment timing?
So, I tend to rarely do half an hour appointments.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Because whoever is the person, I tend to spend some time getting to know the person and having a bit of banter and fun and building a
okay.
connect and not being very transactional about meetings.
Okay.
People know that, I'll spend the first 5 minutes joking and lightening the mood and, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right? Just
Uh,
eases people
yeah.
into it. So I'm not ruthless with my time, not ruthless about just discussing the transaction or what's the issue and moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
There'll
What are your
always be a
typical
little bit of
appointments then?
conversation around.
And what are your typical timings? How long do you meet with a person? Is there a
So I
kind of
typically
background there?
set 1 hour.
1 hour. Okay.
I
Let's see.
typically set 1 hour if it's
Okay.
a meeting. Now, there may
Wow.
be some transactional meetings
Sure.
sometimes, which may be
Yeah.
30 minutes. But
Okay.
generally speaking, the standard is 1 hour.
Okay.
Okay,
Wow.
because like I said, it's not just the work part, it's a bit
Uh,
of the rest of the connect that
the
I use
relationship.
time for.
Okay. Very interesting. And as you empower people, how do you also monitor? I mean, how do you make sure they're doing
Mm.
what they say, the coaching and monitoring? How do you manage that? Letting them do things as well as guiding, coaching, monitoring.
Yeah, so people will tell you that I'm quite tough and demanding at the workplace.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I may have a few jokes and have a bit of fun, but I'm bloody serious when it comes to what needs to be done.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't take it lightly. I accommodate mistakes and so on, but if it's wrong attitude or repeated mistakes, then people do get the rough end of the stick from me. Uh, while I empower, I hold people accountable. And I'm ruthlessly fair in measuring accountability and measuring performance.
How do you do it?
And
Do you have a book that you track? How do you measure performance?
I'm a very scorecard driven guy.
Okay.
Once something has to be done, it is scorecarded. It's red, amber, green, and now increasingly only red and green because amber is a hiding place for most
Yeah.
people. And that I
Yeah.
learned from my association with cricket and RCB in Bangalore that, in sport, you only win or lose. There is no
Yeah. There's no in
draw.
between. Yeah.
Right? Even if there's a super over, there will be a final result. One team will win.
Yeah.
So, it's red or green. So once I agree a strategy, once I agree a set of priorities, I put metrics and it's scorecarded. And I review the scorecard regularly and I discuss the scorecard by exception. So the red will be
Okay.
discussed.
Okay. Okay. So you do put it down in a very clear tracker in a way, tracking that. What
Yes.
has helped you? Is it in Excel? What do you do? How do you track it? How do you scorecard it?
I think, what I've learned is we used to have this phrase in Unilever called liberating rigor.
Yeah.
So in business, ambiguity is unhelpful. So for
Yeah.
me, you have very often deal with ambiguity, but finally you have to have clarity on what you will do.
Yeah.
And that requires liberating rigor. You need to think deeply, think hard till you see that moment of light.
Ah.
And then suddenly you know what you need to do, and that's blinding clarity.
Okay.
Once you have blinding clarity,
Ah.
then you can put all the energy behind it.
Okay. And then you
Okay.
make it very specific and measurable
And
then.
then I make it very specific and to
I
the
see.
extent possible measurable.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
And how do you have that internal thing to say, okay, I'm going to follow through on it, as opposed to again discuss new ideas and so on? How do you follow through on internally? Say, I'm going to track this guy, track this particular activity. What's your routine? Daily, do you sort of go through these deliverables?
No, not daily. But let me say, typically what I would do is I would have every month I would have typically two sessions.
Okay.
The mid month is what I call the operations review, which is about scorecards and metrics and this month and next month and what's happened on the P&L and margins and everything else.
Okay.
The next meeting at the end of the month, on the last week of the month, is what I call the strategic review. So there's an
Okay.
operations review and strategic review.
Okay.
Operations review has only 1 month, 3 month kind of, and
Okay.
this year kind of metrics.
Yeah.
The strategic review are the big shifts that you want to make in the business. So
Okay.
talent pipeline,
Yeah.
okay, will be part of the strategic review,
Okay.
right? Or looking at a new business model, right? Or disruptive cost takeout, or
Okay.
network optimization in terms of reducing the number of factories you have. That will
Yeah.
all be part of the strategic review.
Pretty good.
So
Okay.
there's operations review. So it forces time both for the short term
Yeah.
and for the long term. So I've kind of
Okay.
compartmentalized it to make sure
Yeah.
there is enough time for each of these two things.
And so it's like a zoom in and the operation zoom out in the strategic. How long
Correct.
are these reviews? How in
So
your
it
typically?
depends
Yeah.
on the nature of the business, right? So in Diageo, I used to it was one day for each, one full day for
Excellent.
each.
One full
with
day.
the leadership team, and
Okay.
different people would come in. So the operations review would have, each region coming in or each function giving an
Yeah.
update and going through the overall corporate scorecard. And the month end would be another one, which will probably have 5 or 6 1-hour sessions at the
Okay.
minimum, because those are strategic reviews.
Okay.
And maybe, each strategic item gets covered once in 2 months
Yeah.
or so. Everything doesn't get covered every month in a strategic review. So
Okay.
operations review is pretty much the same every month.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's how it works.
And how do you, so, someone's missing their deadlines. What do you say? What do you do? Do you get angry, upset? How do you express your displeasure?
So, I mean, I have some vulnerabilities, and it's interesting. I was talking about it yesterday with my team, and talking about some behavioral shifts that I want to make myself, right? Even at
Okay.
this a late stage of career, I'm still trying to, be honest with myself and make shifts.
Yeah.
So, so one is, I generally have a very loud voice, okay? And as I get more emotionally involved with things, I get louder.
Okay.
And many people do get intimidated, but
Okay.
it's nothing more than just loudness,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
However, when something doesn't happen repeatedly, that frustrates the hell out of me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And that pushes me to the point of saying, my friend, either you change or I will change you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And there
Yeah.
are times when and I don't feel good about it after the event, I have to say very honestly, but
Yeah.
there are times when I, just lose
Yeah.
my shirt, lose my temper
Yeah.
out of sheer frustration.
I understand. Yeah. And you say
Okay.
this openly in front of others
I
and
said it yesterday with my leadership team, and I said, listen, I need to check myself, because when I walk out of those meetings after
yeah.
I've lost my temper, I mean, I do feel quite shitty about the
Yeah.
fact that it happened. Right?
Yeah.
I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's happened. And I've told my HR head to be my coach. And I said, rap me on my knuckles in front of everybody if you have to,
Ah,
but
okay.
stop me. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You have to be my
Yeah.
check and balance, right?
Yes. But is there another way to do it at all? I mean, is this even, have you seen others do it in a different way that is even more effective? Your mentors, for example?
I mean, I've found it very hard to emulate. I have seen that some of the most menacing people are the ones who speak the softest
Uh-huh.
and speak the least. I'm exactly the opposite. Okay.
Okay.
I'm exactly the opposite. But I've seen that.
I see. Is there an
Okay.
example that comes to mind? Someone who you felt, well, speaking softly, and that itself is a big stick.
No, there are, I mean, I don't take names, but there are specific people who, are still very closely connected with me, who have
Yeah.
been, yeah, bosses
Yeah.
and mentors,
Yeah.
and so on. But yeah, but
Yes.
but I found it hard to
It is
emulate
very hard. It's
because,
very
yeah,
hard.
I'm just
Yeah.
I'm different. And you see, what happens is I'm a person. I'm a less thought through person and a more spontaneous and intuitive person,
Okay. Okay.
right? So I don't think through how I should react to a situation always.
Yeah.
I'm more spontaneous,
Okay.
right? I
Yeah.
respond from the gut rather than from the mind in just the way I am.
But someone would say you're being authentic. What's wrong with that? That you're being yourself. What is wrong with that?
No, and I think one of my strengths is that people think I'm authentic,
Yeah.
right? And however, when when you have made a meeting or a discussion messy by
Ah,
screaming and shouting,
okay. I
yes, you
see.
may be authentic, but you've still left a mess behind you.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you see, as a leader, you
Yeah.
achieve nothing if
Yeah.
you walk out of the room with less
Yeah.
energy than when you walked in, and
Yeah.
everyone else walks out of the room with less
Yeah.
energy than they walked in.
So it's the
What have you
negative
really
energy.
achieved? What
Yeah.
have you really achieved? You've
Yeah.
lowered the energy of everybody. You've
Yeah.
killed motivation probably, and
Yeah.
everyone walks out limp. And what have you achieved? So, and this realization is there when I go back and reflect. Okay,
I see.
and
Yeah.
yet it does happen. I'm just hoping it'll happen less and less.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, very interesting. So it does come to. And what are your routines? And I'm going to just, maybe this is the last question, then I'll leave it to the
Yeah.
audience. What are your routines outside of work in terms of any routines that you have that, help you during work? Is there any exercise, anything that, what do you do outside of work that helps you?
So, I used to be a very regular runner,
Yeah,
right? Even in I used to, one
right.
of the few guys I would go out and run, by the way.
Yeah.
So I ran for many years till my lower back troubled me. But I walk 8 kilometers in the morning. So I get up, I'm out. Um, when it's hot summer, I get up at 5:45. I'm out of the home at 6. I'm in Mumbai. I'm overlooking the race course in Mumbai. I go to the race course
Oh,
and
okay.
I leave. I come back home an hour and 45 minutes after I leave. Okay.
Okay.
So I leave 6,
Every day.
6:15. I'm back around 8. Huh?
Every day. This is
So Saturday, Sunday in the evenings.
okay.
Monday is the day off. Tuesday to Friday mornings.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
because
Wow.
weekdays I can't do it in the evening. Okay,
Yeah.
but Saturday,
Wow.
Sunday I take it easy because I might want to party on Friday night, Saturday night. So I get up
Yeah.
late, take it easy,
Okay.
but I make sure I go in the evening for that. So that
Okay.
I do 8K typically
Yeah.
on 6 days a week,
Okay.
walking, and I walk exactly at 6 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
Um, I don't discuss work. So when I'm there, I speak to my kids, one in the US, one in Singapore when I'm walking. I speak to my brother who's in the US. I listen to The Economist
Okay.
religiously, the
Okay.
podcast of The Economist, and I hear audiobooks. So
Okay.
I've heard many novels in recent times. Okay, so that
Okay.
hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, my mind is away from
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
your time. Yeah.
it is my time, and I just reconnect with people I want to reconnect with and
Yeah.
just hear what I want to hear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
Uh, and, that really, and a day that I do that in the morning, I just have that spring in my step the whole day.
Okay.
I just feel the tingling through the
Yeah.
day,
That
you
gives you
know,
the energy. Yeah.
energy. I just feel better about it.
And do you
And I'm
have a night
fairly,
routine? Is there anything in the evening, night that you have that
no, I
works
mean, I come
in the
back
morning?
and most days, I'll have dinner by 7:30, between
Okay.
7:30 and 8. And listen, like I said, very active social life. So
Yeah.
Fridays, Saturdays, and maybe even Sundays sometimes. Um, we have very good friends. We take a lot of holidays, by the way. Huh? So that's the other recharge. A
Taking
lot of short
holidays.
holidays, short
Yeah.
recharges. But we
Yeah.
go with friends,
Yeah.
right? And most of them are my friends from Unilever, by the way. And we're still
Okay.
closely in touch. We all competed in one time. Now we're the best
Yeah.
of friends.
30
Our
years ago.
spouses get
Yeah.
along well. And
Wow.
we go, we just go. So, 2 weekends ago, I went to this leopard camp between Jodhpur and Udaipur. It's a
Uh-huh.
fascinating place. So these
Yeah.
are recharges. You go with friends. You don't discuss work. You have a
Yeah.
few drinks.
Yeah.
You have a lot of fun chatting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating. Really fulfillment at work and fulfillment in relationships, right? These
I
are,
hope so. I
yeah.
hope so. I feel quite
Yeah.
content and quite fulfilled to your point.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We have a question from Ankit. Are long working hours for senior leadership any good? And then the chat, attachment to work or detachment. What's the right frame of mind? Actually, the long working hours, maybe that one. There's the general notion that the higher you climb, the longer your working hours. What do you feel on that?
So, I mean, I think I am a guy who works hard,
Yeah.
but I have seen people who work smart. And I'm
Mm,
probably not one of those work smart kind of people. Okay. So I put in a lot of effort and I do work long hours and I'm available and I'm willing to speak on a Sunday and I don't compartmentalize and stuff like
yeah.
that. Okay. Um, One of the examples that I have seen, I know this person well and seen is Aditya Puri, who built HDFC Bank.
Uh-huh.
And he never carried a mobile phone as the MD of the HDFC Bank. And
Ah,
he went home for lunch every single day. And every
ah,
meeting ended at 5 p.m. and he would go home.
uh-huh. Ah,
And he was one of the most successful business leaders in the world in terms
wow.
of what he created with HDFC Bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm not there. Okay. But I don't see, the point is this, that I might work long hours, I might work hard,
Yeah.
but I'm not feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it while I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So in a way,
I,
find a style that you enjoy. It's not about hours. Find a style that you like and enjoy. That
I think
suits
so.
you.
I think so. And that's what I do. And then, you don't keep watching the hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I tend to do what I enjoy. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a burden.
Powerful. Yeah.
I don't see it as a pain.
Yeah. Not a burden. Other questions, I know that many have been saying that they really relate to the open way you're speaking, the open heart. People really connect with that. Your honesty, openness, frankness. Any other questions on, let me just ask if there's any. We have another 3 minutes. Any other questions from the participants to Anand on leadership habits? And maybe while someone's asking a question, what if you're starting out? We have one from Samik. Once you're frustrating, demotivating meetings, must have lowered energy. Said, how do you recollect your energy the next day? How do you get back your energy?
So one is, listen, I invariably speak to my HR head and offload and said, listen, I messed up.
Okay.
And by the way, I'll tell you what. So, I really believe that the ego must not come in the way and hierarchy must not come in the way. In every one of those sessions where I messed up,
Yeah.
I've gone and made it up to those people in the next
You
day
go
or
back
two.
and apologize to them? How do you? Yeah.
It
Is
may
that?
not be apologize and maybe apologize. That is
Yeah.
what the message will be.
Yeah.
But I will explain the fact that, I shouldn't have done what I did. I'll
Yeah.
explain why I reacted the way I did.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was not appropriate. But I will also say that, listen, can you guys please help me by getting
Yeah.
certain things done so that I don't get pushed over the hill like this? So
Okay.
I try and make sure that it's a more rational,
Yeah.
constructive conversation thereafter.
Yeah.
But in every one of those cases, I go back and try and make it up.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. And then there are a couple of questions on feedback. How do you seek and handle it? And how do you deal with hidden feedback signals? I guess feedback that is not direct, but is trying to say something to you.
So listen, I mean, I yesterday, like I said, I had this meeting. We were just setting our April to March goals for FY26 for this financial year. And I spoke about the behavioral shifts that I want to make in FY26 in front of my
Okay.
leadership team, and I publicly declared it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I put down there is exactly the areas of feedback that I have been given. So, see, the thing
Okay.
is that somehow my style is such that people are willing to tell me what they feel about me, even if they're much junior to me in the company.
Okay.
Because they know I won't bite them, I won't hold it against them, I won't change their rating at the end of the year because they have given me tough feedback. I
Okay.
build that trust with people.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
will tell me.
Yeah.
And yesterday I committed back to say, all right, this is the feedback you guys have been giving me, that I don't listen enough, particularly when I'm frustrated and angry, that I get too loud, right?
Yeah.
And I get disruptive.
Okay.
And I'm publicly telling you guys that I'm going to try very hard. And I'm
Yeah.
telling the HR person who's sitting in the room to be
Yeah.
my eyes and ears and coach on this. Okay.
Okay.
So that's how I deal with it.
Okay.
Uh, People,
Yeah.
even I do what we call growing with Anand sessions with different levels of management.
Okay.
And I find that they're remarkably candid with me because
Okay.
I think I've built that safe room
That's
environment,
psychological safety. Yeah. What do you,
psychologically, that
and this is the fun one. What is the key to creating that? Is it that you're honest? Is it that you acknowledge? What do you think makes them give you honest feedback or willing to give you feedback?
I think that, I mean, they trust that you will not shoot the messenger, that you will not hold them
Yeah.
responsible for negative feedback that they give you, that you will not affect their careers, impact their careers because they have told you this.
You're
And
not
I
going to
think
be
it comes
addicted.
from,
Yeah.
this confidence building it's something that builds with
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, in Cadbury, if the chowkidar had a problem, we all lived in the same apartment building with the office next to it.
Yeah.
If the security guy had a problem, he'd come to my home, but he'll not go to the HR head's home.
Ah, okay.
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 Because
Yeah.
I think people feel I'm also very accessible. For instance, my
Okay.
door is always open in the
Okay.
office unless I'm doing a confidential conversation. It
Okay.
is open.
Anyone can walk in.
Anyone can walk in. So I
Wow.
think it
Yeah.
helps. These physical things also help
Yeah. Yeah.
remove barriers
This is
sometimes.
fascinating, Anand. I wish we'd love to have you again another time to continue this conversation, if that works for you. This is truly getting to the details that most people don't hear about or read about, right? The habits that make a person. It is now 7:30. I want to thank you for joining us this early morning and actually interrupting your walk, right? Thank you for thanks for taking the time for this. Hopefully we'll have another session. Thank you very much, Anand.
Not at all,
Thank you
Ramki.
again.
Thank you for inviting me, and good luck, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your program.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take care then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. With that, thank you all very much. And please go ahead as you return to work. Thank you all very much. Your own intention. It's now, I don't want to take your time, but as you get back to work, what is your intention for today based on today's conversation? Thank you all very much. That is a fascinating conversation with Anand Kripalu. And we'll have other speakers in the coming weeks. We'll make the announcement. Have a wonderful day. Have a beingful day today. See you all next time. Thank you all very much.